All right, I'm Jesse Coder,
And I'm Matt Guion.
and this is a commentary for our collaborative books versus movies review of V for Vendetta. And I suppose we could start off by talking about just how this whole thing got started.
It sounds like coming through the headphone.
It's not coming through that headphone. That's weird. It's not coming through my. Oh, I guess we won't be able to hear it. But no, that's not. I think I know it well enough by saying.
All right.
Anyway.
Yeah. You had, I think, a Facebook messaged me initially. And asked.
I actually, as so many of my ideas come about, I was just kind of sitting on the bus brainstorming on the way back to my apartment, and I just sort of thought to myself, I think this was getting near the tail end where we were starting to talk about the secret project, I believe.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And I was talking, so I had collaboration on the mind, and I thought to myself, well, I really like graphic novels, and you do the books versus movies thing, so I thought it'd be really cool if we could do a collaborative books versus movies review on just some sort of graphic novel. And
I think at that point I had actually started reading V for Vendetta because it was one of my favorite movies, and I really, really wanted to do a books versus movies review. So I figured, well, yeah, I don't know that much about graphic novels, so.
And so the whole idea just seemed to be a pretty good thing for me. And what makes me kind of laugh about it is the fact that the thing that I always thought was kind of amusing about it was the fact that. When we first started talking about it, there was the obvious idea, well, we're going to release this thing on the 5th of November. And then we both proceeded to completely forget about it after that. And then all of a sudden, like, October, 29th or something rolls around?
It was the very, very end of October.
And I was going through my Facebook messages, just deleting old stuff, and I realized, oh crap!
Yeah,
we never actually did anything.
I had given it like a passing thought, like, well, I should really get a hold of Jesse and see if we're still doing this thing. But then it just never got around to it. And I was actually originally going to make this the 10th too, but then I thought, there's a lot of space that's going to pass between when I did Charlie and when November the 5th, so I decided to do Princess Bride as the 10th instead, and then I made this is the 12th actually.
It was just I just realized kind of in a panic, like, oh crap, we have less than a week until the 5th of November, so basically like the script, I sent you my ideas and then you wrote the script like in a day.
Yeah, pretty much. And it usually doesn't take me that long to write the scripts. If it takes me longer than a day, it's out of sheer laziness rather than anything else. Yeah. But usually I have it pretty well worked out before I write.
Unfortunately, it was a really solid script, so I didn't really have any revisions that I wanted to make to it because you actually took some of my stuff sort of like verbatim from the message.
I pretty much just copied and pasted a lot of your notes because you said it better than I probably could have.
And it worked out really well. And then we both. Had to film this thing really fast, and then I had to get you, and then you did all your editing business on this like a champ. And that must have been like a ton of editing in just an incredibly short amount of time.
It's funny because I've gotten a lot of compliments on the editing, and to me, just because it was such a short amount of time, it felt very half-assed. I mean, I know it doesn't look that way, but it felt that way to me just because it usually takes me the better part of a week to edit one of these things.
Yeah, well.
And I did this in like 2 days.
Yeah, I mean, if nothing else, you know now that you can work under a pretty short
if
schedule.
I need to, if
And I mean, I think you did, a great job. Like, I remember I was talking to you about this earlier. Like, the only thing I ever really noticed was that there was difference in the sound quality from your camera and my camera.
Yeah, we were just talking about that because I have a really old camera that still has the mic like right next to the tape, and so you can hear the whirring of the tape. You can hear that kind of high pitched whine in the background.
And mine doesn't even use a tape. Mine's a hard drive. So.
Exactly. So.
But I mean, when that's the only technical difficulty I really noticed, that's that's really it was really impressive, and I thought you did a great job. And,
well, thanks.
The
only regret that I personally have is I wish I could have gotten more shots of the graphic novel, just because it is visual and there are so many shots to get in there. But
I think you got a couple of really good.
I did.
Ones.
I basically did a Google image search, and I figured that would give me like the big ones that I needed, and it did. But
during the imagery section.
That's really the only place where I really needed it.
Yeah. And then there was the cover in the beginning, but that's about it.
So in the end, it worked out fine, and I'm very pleased with the way it turned out overall. And incidentally, I said at the beginning of the review that this is likely to be the biggest review ever, and in books versus movies review ever, and in fact it was. It was like, I think 25 or 28 minutes long.
Yeah.
And
which is
over,
huge.
It's over a gig of size too. So yeah, it's a pretty good size review for this sort of thing. Usually they run about 20 minutes altogether if you add all three parts together, but this one was pretty big.
Yeah.
The actor did a great job of playing this person fighting all of these demons.
Well.
And finally, we have Adam Susan, or as he's
We're
called,
talking about protagonists right now.
Yeah. I think. Let me think. We're on.
We're on Finch.
We're on Finch
Inspector
right now.
Finch, right.
Yeah. No. When you said that you weren't really too crazy about the turn his character took in the book, I do remember that I thought. I felt like it was a little out of character for him. What happened?
It was, and it almost felt like it was just being dark for the sake of being dark.
I mean, I don't think we go into that at all in this review.
Not
but,
really. I just mentioned that I don't like
Yeah.
the turn that his character took. I don't go into any great detail. But
what is? I forget. What is it? A LSD that he?
yeah,
dropped?
he takes LSD in
the
Lark
place
Hill.
where V in Lark Hill where V was tortured and all that stuff happened to him. I had to do so many takes of this thing.
Yeah, you did about 4, I think.
Yeah, and those I didn't even send you a couple of them because some of them were just so bad. It's like that was. And then there were like 5 other takes where I just would crack up halfway through because what the hell am I doing? But yeah, in the book when Finch goes to Lark Hill, he basically, I can't remember what was his. Did he have much of a reason for dropping acid up there? It was one of the.
I think it was to feel like almost to feel what V was feeling because I think they gave V drugs.
Yeah, that was among the many things that they pumped through the people's systems there.
Yeah, so I think he wanted to feel because he became obsessed basically with killing V. And so,
but even by
did he put him in his place?
But even by the standards of him being obsessed with capturing and killing V, it's just I never thought it made much sense for him to just drop acid at this.
And like I said, I feel like he was almost writing that part to intentionally be sensational. Like it was just not because it was consistent with the character, but just because it was darkness for darkness' sake.
Yeah,
and I think that's what bothered me more than anything about that part.
Alan Moore, like he's definitely a great writer, and I don't think anyone would dispute that. But he does have his share of problems, and I think that's the main reason why people are so off put by him nowadays is because he refuses to acknowledge those problems a lot.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, he treats, his stories are good, but he treats them like they're perfect.
Well, and it's the same thing with this being made into a movie. Like, he did not like the movie because he was very, very vocal in his defense of the book about how the movie is for Americans and the book was intended for English.
And in fact, if you are paying attention to the credits, Alan Moore's name isn't in there. He refused to have his name associated with the credits.
I
Now,
didn't know that.
David Lloyd is credited with it, and I mean. You said that he had commented on the imagery in the movie. Saying that
he thought it was great. He thought it was a great looking movie, and it is a great.
It is a great looking movie. I mean, it's quite good, and but yeah, it's just that's always been my main problem with Alan Moore. It's that this is like we talk about it's a very sort of non-opinionated story. It's a decide for yourself kind of story.
Yeah.
But Alan Moore, in his real life, he is extremely opinionated. Like he would be the kind of person, at least when it comes to his own material, like the book is always better.
Yeah.
The movie could never, ever, ever be better.
And so you almost wonder why he allowed it to be made into a movie in the first place.
I mean, like, I think it's probably just got something to do with rights. I mean, like, DC probably has more of the rights to it than he does.
Probably with this.
All right, we're nearing the end of this part, so we're going to go ahead and switch over to the next portion.